Rule number 1, I'll say it again. We're not doing what we used to do before. It's really hard for us to drink. People just don't stay hydrated. When I ask patients if they drink enough water, no, I eat a lot of salads. Yes, it's very good because we are going to be on a ketogenic or low carb diet. We eat a lot of vegetables with a low glycemic index. But when I ask about drinking, they say, well, I have some tea. And no, now more than ever, we need to hydrate with plain water. Let's make it fun, because sometimes just having a glass of water can be unappealing, right? So how can we do that? Well, we're going to enrich it. So how can we do that? Well, we're going to enrich it. For example, in the morning, we need to have a routine. We get up in the morning and fill a 1.5 liter pitcher with water, and we'll sip on it throughout the day. With that, we already know that we consume other things like vegetables, I get that, but we need to always have that pitcher of water right in front of us. We're going to enrich it, we're going to flavor it many ways. For example, just like you see here in the picture, with some lemon slices. Put them in first thing in the morning, let them steep throughout the day, and we sip on that slowly. You can also add some mint leaves, okay? This is delicious and appealing, and it looks nice too. So we always think that everything has to appeal to our sight as well. Another idea would be to add, this is delicious, some spearmint, okay, and little slices of cucumber. It's really good. You can't imagine how refreshing it is. You can keep the pitcher in the fridge if you like. Who feels like having water from the fridge? I don't like it. Cold? I prefer it at room temperature. But everyone has their own tastes. But enrich it with cucumber. And you can also have other ideas, of course. For kids, another really good idea, I like it, and sometimes I tell the kids, is to put water with raspberries. You can cut the raspberries in half or into pieces, but cutting them in half is fine. Otherwise, they get too small. And some strawberries too. You can't imagine what flavor the water takes on. Natural flavoring, there are no additives or anything here. Okay, so I encourage moms, well, and adults too, of course, but especially moms with kids to make sure they drink water. Many kids don't like to drink water. They don't drink water. So we have to teach them to drink water, and we can mask it like this. Very healthy and really good. Then the infusions. You should drink infusions. You can have whichever ones you like. For example, I drink tea because I love tea, and I have a lot of teas throughout the day, but it's true that you can combine it with other types of infusions. Even at night before going to sleep, having an herbal tea, super calming. It's really hard to sleep now. A lot of people have insomnia. Okay? And that's normal. Well then, shall we have an herbal tea? Okay. During the day, we combine 2 or 3 infusions with water for a snack. It's really nice. You can have a piece of chocolate with the infusion, and it gives you a great boost. So, very important. We already have the broths. Here you have the bone broths. You all know this. At least everyone I work with, I always have them make bone broth by hand. Before the pandemic, during the pandemic, and after the pandemic. You know that we also use bone broth to make purees, but it's true that we can always have it in the afternoon or mid-morning, a little cup of broth. We can add a slice of lemon and some ginger to this. It turns out really good, okay? And if we want to add a cheerful touch and you like it, a little bit of cayenne pepper. Yes, good. If you don't want to have it all the time, because it's too strong or you're not in the mood, just make a vegetable broth. For the vegetable broth, not 24 hours with bone broth, but half an hour would be good. About 5 minutes. Boil it, and we have this mild vegetable broth, which we can also season with a bit of lemon, ginger. We can add a little herbal salt or sea salt or Himalayan salt. Kids might like it too. There are kids who like to have broths and infusions. I've been surprised by kids who like to have an infusion with turmeric, and you end up really surprised. All right, let's continue. Let's get to work. We need to stock our kitchen, which is essential, right? To start, we need to have non-perishable foods, okay? So How do we know that we're not going to go shopping every day? And it's also not recommended to go into supermarkets and markets. I mean, always have your shopping list ready. Okay, so if we go once a week, we need to know what we're going to have in the pantry. Non-perishable products, which I will list for you later, okay? Then we need to have foods we can keep both in the fridge and in the freezer. When I say freezer, for example, since we make a wide variety of different creams and purees, we should plan ahead. If someone has a broccoli cream with zucchini and onion or whatever on their menu, instead of making just one serving, let's multiply it by 4. Okay? Always follow the macronutrients and the weight specified in the recipe, and we divide this into 4 and put it in the freezer. So we always have things ready and we don't stress out. And this helps us avoid having too much or too little food, okay? How bad is one as opposed to the other, okay? So our portion that the doctor has specified for each patient, the person who is following the ketogenic diet or the low-carb diet, right? Then another great thing about making pickles is that I always recommend it to those who can have pickles or who don't have any kind of candida or any issues that prevent them from having them. Pickles are really important. They will keep you busy. It's also a lot of fun to make a coleslaw, sauerkraut, okay? Or prepare the jars of carrots, etc. Later, I'll also tell you about a really fun pickle. So you could spend a considerable amount of time in the kitchen doing this, keeping your mind busy with fun and enjoyable things that aren't difficult a little. Then we can also make low-carb ketogenic breads, which are the basics we have. They're easy to make and we can freeze them. Many of you already have different recipes. You already know what ratio you can take, or if you have to take something extra, then it should be these. Please, let's not fall into the trap I mentioned, because sometimes not everyone in the family is on the same diet. And there's often bread at home. And there's always someone who says, well, I'll just have a piece of bread. It's no big deal. Yes, it is a big deal. One day might not matter, but our minds can play tricks on us. And we've been at this for many days. So please stock up on your breads, your ketogenic breads that you already have in the freezer. They're really easy to defrost. If you have a microwave, you can defrost them in there. And if not, just leave them out in the morning to thaw. We can have them as a little snack, maybe toasted with a bit of olive oil, and that's it. Okay.